Alrighty, just with people news. Okay, not attorney, not giving legal advice. Opinions only, educational only. Alright, la la la. Never look straight forward, always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Alright, arm yourself with knowledge, people. Let's proceed forward. This is part two.
To be careful with, and this is what I got into after 2018 and understanding the common law with you, as I met a gentleman who told me that I needed to do this document, which I did way back then, and declared that I was living. And one of the stipulations, because of prior to COVID, was the original blood, right? That you mark your document with your own blood. Well, now that COVID's come out, it's been noted that that DNA being on that paper can be considered toxic material. So, in order to put it into your living document correctly, you need to cover that with cellophane after it's been done.
Tainted blood. Good point. Yeah. Tainted blood.
So just be careful about that avenue. And the gentleman, actually, John's familiar with him because we were in a group together. He was Azar, and he passed away in 2021 of a heart attack at 58 years old. He was a very brilliant man that knew a lot about all of what you're talking about right now. So I wish I would have brought that information forward to you way back then. But yeah, it's vital that you let them know that you're a living man and woman in your any court case.
Actually, it is absolutely, but I wouldn't worry about putting cellophane over it. What she did is she got it entered into the evidence file, and she had to have a hearing because the court clerk's file is not the right file. There's a second file, and so you had to have a hearing. You have to get the judge to put it into the evidence file, and then she ordered a certified copy of it from the clerk. And the clerk said, I don't know if we can do this today. And so she was kind of surprised. And she said, well, so when should I come back? I don't mind coming back. And so then she said, about 3 days from now, and we'll have it for you. And when she got it, she showed us the certified copy.
Inside every dog is a struggle between good.
Just remember, my internet's been slow here lately.
It is. It was put in stapled into a special little binder. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And so that's what made it so powerful. And what she said happened is the U.S. Marshals were looking for her, and she was at home. And they went to her mother's place, and her mother called her up and said the U.S. Marshals were here looking for you. And well, she said, I'm right here if anybody wants to see me. But they didn't go to her place. And so they were looking for that minor estate is what they were looking for. And so all of this stuff kind of got nipped in the bud. And anyways, this is the corpus juris secundum that someone provided, which I thank you very much. So it says here, it says all of that stuff that we just talked about. But notice here, right here, it says footnote 1, footnote 2, and footnote 3. I don't know if you're seeing that. Yeah, right. You can see it. You seeing my mouse? Yes, you are.
Yeah, I see it.
So footnote 1, footnote 2, and footnote 3. So that's where I got the court cases. Okay, so here's footnote 1. Right here. Footnote 2 and footnote 3. So I put all these court cases in there. Actually, it might be useful to put this in there: production of the body not required. Yeah, that's something to think about.
Well, thanks for the point about the evidence file.
Sorry?
Thanks for the clarification of the evidence file versus the court of the court.
Right, it's not the clerk's file, it's another file.
It's still on the docket though? Like the same main docket?
Yeah, it'd be the same court case. It would be the same court case. You have to ask for a hearing and get the judge to put it in there. And so I would suggest you do it in get a federal court case, because everything there, she had a federal court case. So I mean, you could sue somebody and then have it put in the file and have a hearing with the judge and just tell him, I have evidence here that I want to put in the evidence file. And if he says, well, that's with the clerk, and say, no, that's not the file that I want to put into. I want to put into the evidence file, not the clerk's file. And this lady said there was no trouble once she had a hearing. The judge knew exactly what she was talking about. And then after it was in there, she went to the clerk and said, well, I need a certified copy of that. And the clerk started running around and said, we're not going to be able to do that today. And she was kind of surprised, and she said, what? I mean, I'm here. I don't mind staying. I'll stay till closing time. And the clerk said, we're not going to be able to do it today. And I said, and then she figured, well, so when's a good time for me to come back? I'll just come back. When's a good time? And the clerk said, 3 days from now, I'll be fine. And so, that's what she did. And when she got it back, I mean, that thing's got stamps all over it. And it's a certified copy. So the original with the human biological matter on it, as in the blood, is still with the court. Okay, it's a copy, certified copy. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And people are worried about it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're sick. So in other words, that evidence file is more private, so to speak, and that's why she had an issue with getting those certified copies that she requested.
She actually called it the private side of the court.
Got you. So that could be another way to express it if you get pushback. Just a private filing, maybe you could call it that.
I wouldn't call it that, but she called it the private side of the court. But it's the evidence file. I just call it the evidence file. I wouldn't call it I don't know. I haven't done it yet, so I can't say. But I wouldn't call it a private file. That's almost like it's not with a court. You know what I mean?
I do. So but it's not accessible to the public like the main docket.
Right.
Is that the beauty of doing the evidence, putting stuff in the evidence file?
I got a quick question
about clarification.
About in the scriptures it says, "In the blood is the life," and this is just something I heard chatter in the back channels. Who owns the patent and copyrights to that genetically altered blood now? And do you see that as potentially being an out for them?
I don't know. Again, I'm not interested. This is strictly common law. Okay, you got to understand. I mean, you look at how the witnesses are done. General Post Office, Bedford, Texas. It's strictly common law, and so you're not talking about the birth certificate. You're just talking about the public record that's on file at the Bureau of Vital Statistics, which is the birth certificate. But you're not saying it. It's the public record. shows the entity took the first breath. Ooh, look at that. Breath of life on the 4th day of the month of, you see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to read anything into it that's not there. But it's a strictly common law.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering is, could they potentially weasel out of it if you had inoculations that where the blood is now, it's a patented, copyrighted product. You have been genetically altered.
Are you going to disclose that? You know, everything's
No.
about disclosure. So if you keep your mouth shut, then it's none of their
look at it.
business, is it?
So you don't think they'll do an exam of the
If you keep
sample
your
and try
mouth
to
shut, it's
weasel out
none
of
of their
it?
business.
Day now you put that gum in Sally's hair in the 4th grade.
It's all about, in all court cases, it's about the evidence you give against yourself. And if you started bringing that shit up, you know, who knows what the fuck could come out. And again, you know, I see people do that all the time, and they sabotage themselves. You don't tell them any more than you absolutely have to get to accomplish what you want.
That's exactly right. Anything you say or do can and will be held against you in a court of law, y'all. Absolutely. Keep it stupid simple.
No use in...
Anyway, this part 2 is more along the lines for the court cases here. If you want to look them up or whatever, or use them or anything like that. You know, we got to go into, you're talking about early day court cases, right? When there was some form of justice.
The clerk does public, but
Not,
when you go into a judge and you're entering evidence that's private, that's only related to a man or a woman, it's put under seal.
Well, you know, I don't know if it's put under seal or not. I don't think it has to be. Matter of fact, I don't think it should be. You want this public, but it's supposed to be in the evidence file. There's a difference between the court file and the evidence file. There's no reason to complicate this thing way more than what you need. I don't care if it's sealed. I'm going to be telling everybody and their brother about it.
I just want to thank you. Throughout the years, I've learned so much from you. I don't want to interrupt what you're doing, but I just want to say, many times I have literally prayed and gave thanks for you. It's an honor to be here listening to you.
Well, you know, it's a networking thing. I got this from somebody else, and when I saw it, I knew this thing was absolute gold, and it is. I'm gonna file it into. I'm thinking about a federal court case that I'm my recent federal court case. I'm thinking about filing into there, and I'm thinking about, now that I know this file exists, I'm thinking about filing some other stuff too, an affidavit of citizenship. You know, all sorts of stuff.
Well, I have a question for you then, because on the public side they make securities because it's abandoned property. Wouldn't you want it to be sealed, that no one has the right to securitize your intellectual property?
See, you're mixing law again. Okay, I don't give a shit
No.
what they do with it. You're mixing your law. Okay, I don't know that they do that. And you're mixing your law. And I'll tell you, if you go in there and start talking that way, they'll say you're crazy. You need to have your head examined.
Well, typically, but I speak equity, so it isn't about law. But I do comprehend what you're saying.
You know, equity is satanic. You know that, right?
Well, no, because according to Proverbs 1 and the jurisdiction of the Messiah.
Actually, normally equity is supposed to follow the law, which is common law. But when common law, that's why in the cause of necessities for taking up arms, it says the king.
I have to kindly and respectfully object and interject.
Anyway, yeah. And this is how we learn from each other. All right, where we're not on defense with one another. Okay, we could discuss. We could have meetings of minds, disagree, agree, and all this kind of stuff. Right? I disagree with truth. I disagree with, you know, facts. That's investigation purposes, and then keep it stupid simple. True, not truth. We don't want to open a floodgate of what they believe it may mean. You know what I mean? But anyway, this way the people news. Till next time. Bye, y'all.